I'd like to call the July 17th Board of Commissioners meeting to order. First item of business is invocation by Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Lord, be with the commissioners tonight in their deliberation and bless them with wisdom and guidance as they address the items on tonight's agenda. Guide our hearts and minds in the spirit of fairness and right thought. Teach us to be generous in our outlook, courageous in face of difficulty, and wise in our decisions. Father, we pray for the men and women in our armed forces who serve our country with tremendous courage, commitment, and sacrifice. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. We will continue to thank you and praise you for the blessings you have bestowed upon us. Now, with reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here tonight, hear us in a moment of silence. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Cotton, will you lead us in the pledge, sir?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank everyone for coming tonight. I'd like to recognize our elected officials. Sheriff Hans Miller is here as always, and also Swansboro Mayor, Mr. Scott Chadwick. Thank you, sir, for coming. I don't think I've missed anybody else. We ask all in attendance to please set your cell phones to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public 2 opportunities to speak during the meeting. Comments during the first public comment period should be limited to 3 minutes each and must be directly issue-oriented with the agenda items for this particular meeting. The second public comment period is at the end of the meeting and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control over. During the second public comment period, citizens can address the board for up to 5 minutes each. Citizen speakers will be acknowledged in the order in which they sign up to speak and will address all comments to the board as a whole and not one individual commissioner. Speakers will address the board from the speaker's podium at the front of the room and will begin their remarks by stating their name and address. Discussion between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers are expected to be civil in their language and presentation. Any comments where the primary purpose is to promote a business or candidacy shall not be permitted. In accordance with the board's adopted rules and procedures, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, by the commissioners at the commissioner comment period at the end of the meeting agenda. I'd like to move that we amend the agenda by adding section in item 2, the consent agenda for tourism grant. It was a grant that was inadvertently left off in our tourism workshop and now needs to be added so the folks applying can get the grant application for the tourism money for a fishing tournament. It's a motion to provide $4,500 in tourism grant funding to the budget and add it to the budget amendment. With that in mind, I'd like to make get a second on the motion.
Second the motion.
So we got a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now I'd like a motion to adopt the amendment, the agenda.
So moved.
Go ahead.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item of business is already up to public comment section. Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. There's one person who has signed up for the first public comment period. It is Mr. Scott Chadwick of 101 Oyster Bay Road, Swansboro. This is the first public comment period in accordance with the board's adopted rules and procedures. Commissioners shall reserve response, if any, for the commissioner's comment period on the agenda. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes each and must be directly issue-oriented with the agenda items for this meeting. Mr. Chadwick.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Chairman Bright, Buchanan, Mr. Buchanan, Mr. Knapp, Mr. Price. I'm breaking the rules a little bit here tonight, but I did want to just come and express my gratitude and the gratitude of our board, and to maybe give just a little bit of education to some of the newer members of just what y'all have done for Swansboro, particularly over the last 10 years. I gave you a map, and I gave Mr. Cotton a little map of the downtown area of Swansboro. It runs from our town hall down to Front Street and, of course, the waterfront. And this year alone, what y'all have approved is $10,000 for the Ward Shore Living Shoreline and $17,500 for the additional parking at the town hall. That's to be a permeable parking area that will increase our parking there by 70 spaces. And the importance of that cannot be overstated. But even more important than that is if you look at that map, the things that y'all have done over the last 10-year period, the HC Police Pavilion, $30,000 that the county contributed to that, and that has become a focal point for all our festivals and certainly our concerts. The $12,183 for the Church Street gazebo. We just had a wedding there this past week, and the week before we had all types of wedding pictures, and during the proms we had all types of prom pictures. People want to get near the waterfront. And of course the Church Street dock, which y'all contributed $25,000 to, has become a very busy location for bigger boats to come into town, and of course they come in and our businesses are doing real well from those folks that are visiting our town. And then the Visitor Center, which is right across the street from the HC Police Pavilion, $49,000 is what you put in that over a 4-year period. So what I wanted to say is that those things that are being successful in Swansboro have a large part of the cooperation we've got from our commissioners and certainly from our Onslow County staff. And we wanted to appreciate that. That, as Mr. Buchanan reminded me on the way in, over the years, when I was with the Swansboro Area Development Foundation, came to a meeting much like this, and W.C. Jarman told me that if you'll just sit down and shut up, I'll give you $50,000. We'll give you $50,000 out of tourism money, because that was the last $50,000 to finish our soccer complex in Swansboro. And certainly we did that, and I hope that's something that you as commissioners are proud of. I hope you're proud of all these projects that we finished. Y'all have given tens of thousands of dollars to our Swansboro festivals, Rotary fishing tournaments and things like that. And almost $1 million since 2012 have gone to our fire department. So on behalf of our board and the citizens of Swansboro, I want to thank you so much for the cooperation. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to know that when we call you or we call your staff, we're met with cooperation and anything that they can do to help. It seems like it is working as smoothly as it ever has. And to you, Chairman Bright, I just wanted to mention that throughout the county, when I'm at different functions, I hear how engaged you are, how busy you are, and what a good job you're doing. So I wanted to personally thank you for that, and certainly want to thank all the board members for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Next item, item number 4 is a public hearing, and Mr. Cotton, I'll turn that over to you to start that process, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. First, I will call on Mr. Norman Bryson. He will provide a staff introduction, and following that, I will open and conduct the public hearing. Mr. Bryson.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cotton. Carolina Ambulance Specialty Transport, otherwise known as CAST, is a private for-profit business that has applied to Onslow County under General Statute 153A 250, ambulance services, to provide non-emergent ambulance transport. The services provided by Carolina Ambulance Specialty Transport would include
transportation of individuals with the needs of basic and advanced level emergency medical care to and from doctors' offices, hospitals, and other treatment facilities. CAS could always be used as a backup to the county's E911 emergency medical transportation system. Currently in Onslow County, there is only one non-emergent ambulance transport service that provides the same level of service as Carolina Ambulance Transport Service is requesting. Carolina Ambulance Specialty Transport requests have been reviewed and recommended by both the Medical Providers Committee and Medical Peer Review Committee.
Thank you, sir.
At this time, I will open the public hearing, and we will begin with an applicant statement. If anyone is here from CAST.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Commissioners. Thank you. Remember me from the last meeting. I appreciate the expediency that you've given this matter. I'd just like to say that we appreciate your consideration for the franchise. We look forward to working with Mr. Bryson and his staff and providing non-emergent services and then backup services to the county system. It's all about working together for a common cause. While we are a private for-profit company, we have taken a not-for-profit position. We're turning everything back into the company, and we want to make sure it's strong for Onslow County. And if approved, this will be the only resident private service that's corporate offices are here in Onslow County and we'll call home, which I think gives a testament to what we want to do here and provide a good, strong service for the community.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank
you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, no one has signed up. I will make a call to the audience. Seeing no one approaching the podium, I will now close the public hearing. This item is available for commissioner discussion and consideration.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cotton. Motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion and second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
I just got a question for you. I'm kind of familiar with, you can sit down. So your services is basically like if somebody goes to the hospital, they're released, like an elderly person, you transport them back to their living area, like, because my father's in a home, that's why I'm asking. So if I can't take my father or someone can't take one of their parents or whatever it may be, then your service will provide transportation back to the assisted living facility or things of that nature, am I correct?
Yes, sir, or anywhere they need to go to a doctor's appointment, to another facility out of county, wherever the case may be. With Onslow Memorial being a tertiary type care facility, there's a lot of things that get referred out to Greenville, to Wilmington, to UNC and Duke, and that's what we're there for in the non-emergent. And we can do the emergent inter-facility transfers, but our primary responsibility is not 911. It will be to back up.
Right.
But it's mainly non-emergent services.
Well, the next question I have then, because I've used some of these services before. My question is in terms of insurance, your billing. I'll just come out and say it. The other groups have had problems with their insurance, like one hand's not talking to the other hand. So as far as Medicare is concerned or federal health insurance, or any kind of insurance that they have, do you have a billing procedure in place that's going to be pretty effective in terms of?
Yes, sir, we do. Okay. We do accept any and all insurances, whether it be Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross Blue Shield. The problem is with the Affordable Care Act, with a lot of the non-emergent services, they're highly scrutinized. When it comes to 911 service, they're even scrutinized heavily, and even more so for the non-emergent. And now that stems back from a long time ago. There was a lot of disreputable ambulance transports. So they put the kibosh on it and they put you under the microscope. Now, whether you have the ability to pay or not, we'll still transport you, but we'll enter into an agreement of a pay plan, basically.
Your billing is here in Onslow County. It will be here.
Yes, sir. It is here locally, and we will do everything here in-house. If anybody has problems, they can come to our office. They can call our office here in Onslow County.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Norm, how much will this impact our emergency response ambulances so they can respond to emergencies versus having to, have we been doing some
We have had to do,
non-emergency?
we have had to do some interfacility transports because the Onslow Memorial did not have any other agency they could reach out to and be able to do this. So this will help take a relief and burden off of us for not having to be able to make those transports and provide us and make us more open for those 911 medical calls.
Thank you. Sounds like a
Good plan.
good idea to me to have a private vendor to step in and do the non-emergency transport. Could this agency do emergency transport if we got in a
Yes, we
situation?
we could call them for mutual aid as well. If we were down or out of ambulances, we could call them to assist us for providing that 911 medical services.
Sounds good. Any questions? Any other board members? Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the franchise agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Commissioner Bennett's not here tonight, but we can do this because all the commissioners that's here voted in favor of it. So I guess, is there any other steps he has to go through, Mr. Bryson?
The key pieces now is to get the franchise agreement signed and in his hands, and then we can go on from there.
State inspection's next.
Yes.
I'm sure you'll do fine. Thank you a lot.
Appreciate it.
Item 5, appeal procedure policy. That's our health director, Ms. Angela Lee.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cotton. The Onslow County Board of Commissioners, in their capacity, also serves as the local Board of Health. The Board of Health, by statute, is authorized to be the policymaking body for the local health department. While the board does not have to directly approve all policies of the health department, it certainly has a role in the policymaking process. This process and policies, which the Board of Health produces, are necessary for the health department to meet its accreditation requirements and to assure quality public health in Onslow County. There are several health department policies which ensure the Board of Health's involvement in this process. One of these is the appeals procedure. The appeals procedure policy is based on the legal authority granted to the local Board of Commissioners under the North Carolina General Statute 138-24. We respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the appeals procedure policy and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the board.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Ms. Lee? Section C, delegation of duties of the health director policy.
B, Jack.
B.
Oh, B, I'm sorry.
Okay. This is the Board of Commissioners Public Health Orientation and Training Policy. The Health Department is required to ensure board members receive training on their public health responsibilities within the community. The Board of Commissioners Public Health Orientation and Training Policy sets the expectations for this training. The purpose of this policy is to provide orientation and ongoing training to the Onslow Board of County Commissioners who have assumed the duties and responsibility of the Board of Health. By properly orienting newly elected or appointed commissioners to their roles and functions within public health, they can better serve the local health department and the community. Respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the orientation and training policy and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the board.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve section B, second.
Second.
Any discussion? None. So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now we get to section C.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to say one other thing too, and I know that I missed Miss Lisa Brown. She's our clerk of Superior Court, and she's already took off on us. Anyway, I'm sorry that I missed her. She's an elected official, and apologize for that. It's always a risk of missing somebody when you have a bigger audience like this. But go ahead.
Thank you. The purpose of this policy is to delineate the delegation of authority and responsibility for the overall management of the affairs of the health department in accordance with written policies. In the absence of written policies, the health director is to be guided by an application of board intent as established in other policies, and counseled where appropriate by the county commissioners. The health director shall guide his or her activities by the content and spirit of the job description and administer the health department within a reasonable interpretation of North Carolina general statutes. Respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the delegation of duties policy and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the board.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion, a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Lee. Section D, senior nutrition contract. I think Ms. Sherry Slater is going to present that.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We have before you this evening the contract between Onslow County and Diamond Food Enterprises, Inc., which allows senior services to continue the home-delivered and congregate nutrition programs for Onslow County. This contract provides meals to all 5 sites in the county, including Jacksonville, Richlands, Belgrade, Swansboro, and Sneads Ferry. And eligibility is determined on an annual basis for seniors under the guidelines of the Division of Aging and Adult Services. Onslow County did solicit bids for this contract in May of 2015. Diamond Foods Enterprises was the lowest responsible bidder at that time, and the contract provides for up to four additional one-year extensions. We've had excellent service from Diamond Food Enterprises, and we would therefore recommend continuing or exercising the extension for this contract. These services are reimbursed through the Home and Community Care Block Grant as well. So we would respectfully request that the Commissioners approve the contract and authorize the Chairman to sign the necessary and appropriate documents on the behalf of the county.
So moved.
Thank you. Have a motion and
Second.
have a second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ms. Slater. Energy Program Outreach, Ms. Heidi Bauer.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Cotton. Each year, Onslow County Department of Social Services receives state funding for energy programs. These programs offer assistance to needy families who may be experiencing heating or cooling crises. The state requires the approval of an outreach plan by the Consolidated Human Services Board. The plan addresses the community partners and activities planned to maximize outreach efforts in Onslow County. Respectfully request that the board approve the LIAP outreach plan and authorize the chairman to sign the letter of approval on behalf of the county.
Any motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Semi-annual report to the Commissioners for, I think that's Ms. Laura Jones.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. In accordance with North Carolina General Statute 168, Article 12, the Board of Commissioners adopted a resolution which authorizes the purchasing director to dispose of personal surplus property by means of either public and/or private sale. And the resolution also requires that the purchasing director keep a record of all the property sold and report it in writing to the Commissioners on a semi-annual basis. The written report to the Board of Commissioners generally describes the property sold or exchanged, how much it was sold or exchanged for, and the amount of consideration for each sale. The sale of this property was by means of public auction, which is the electronic auction, and by private sale through our warehouse surplus store, as authorized. The total of surplus sales for this reporting period of January 1st, 2017 to June 30th was $34,844.71. And $10,729.99 was sold by the electronic auction, GovDeals, and the remainder $24,114.72 was sold through the surplus store. It's respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners accept the Purchasing Director's report for January 1 through June 30th of 2017. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Motion for section F.
So moved.
Motion and a second.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Laura, how widespread is our advertisement for our surplus property? I know it goes on government deals. Is that pretty much far-reaching or?
As far as for gov deals, the electronic auction, and that's all throughout the United States. So when we have like special items, like if we're selling larger pieces of equipment, they actually market it for us too. They have methods of advertisement that they'll do. And we post everything on the website as well.
I would encourage anybody that's got office or needing office equipment to go by and visit that store, because really some items that still have some life in them that we can get rid of at
Yeah,
a
as
fair
far as
price.
the warehouse sales, we did put it in the Onslow County Today show last month, so it was on G10. We tried to advertise it that way, and we put it in the Connection in the newspaper to try and reach out to more people as well.
That's a very good idea. I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Section G is also yours, Ms. Laura.
Yes, sir. This is some revisions to the Purchasing Policy and Procedures Manual. In an effort to operate more efficiently, it's imperative that certain policies and procedures be updated periodically. And recently, a review of the Purchasing Policy and Procedure Manual was performed, and it was determined that certain policies need to be revised. The proposed revisions include specific policy changes as well as some grammatical edits, and attached within your agenda is a detailed summary of those proposed revisions. And if approved, the revisions will be incorporated into the Purchasing Contract and Procedure Manual. And if you have any questions about the revisions, I'll be glad to go over them.
The motion.
So moved.
Motion and a second.
Second?
Any discussion on item G? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Section H, interlocal agreement. That's yours also, Ms. Jones.
North Carolina General Statute 143-129E, number 3, it provides for an exception to the bidding requirements that allows government agencies to make purchases through a group purchasing program, also called cooperative purchasing agreements. Cooperative purchasing programs are formally organized programs for goods and services that have been competitively bid out by the issuing state, and the award of each contract is made to the lowest responsive bidder. HGAC BUY is a cooperative purchasing program with several contracts that have been awarded by virtue of a public competitive procurement process compliant with the state statutes. There's no cost to the county to use the program. However, the agreement does require the governing board's approval. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider approving the HGAC BUY interlocal agreement for cooperative purchasing and authorize the chairman of the board to execute the contract documents.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Yeah, all opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. We got a surplus property on section I. I think that's yours also.
Yes, that's a final offer for surplus real property. On April 3rd of 2017, the board approved a resolution authorizing the sale of the county's surplus real property by electronic auction. A notice was published in the Jacksonville Daily News 30 days prior to the start of the sale, and the auction began on June 22nd and ended on June 30th. In North Carolina General Statute 160A-270, describes the public auction process and requires that the highest offer is brought back to the board for final consideration. The county received an offer in the amount of $3,702 for parcel number 015396, which is located on Riverside Drive in the Stump Sound Township. The current tax value for that parcel is $100. If the board approves the offer, the property will be sold as is, and a deed will be prepared transferring the property, and then we'll remove it from the county asset file. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the final high offer in the amount of $3,702.
So moved.
Motion and second.
A second.
And second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Section J, some more surplus property.
And this is another, by the electronic auction process as well, that began on June 22nd and ended on June 30th. And the county received an offer in the amount of $3,801 for parcel 066098, which is also located on Riverside Drive in the Stump Sound Township. And the current tax value for that parcel is also $100. If the board approves the offer, it'll be sold as is, and we'll do a deed transferring the property as well. And then we'll remove it from the county asset file. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
So moved. Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Next section.
5K, surplus real property. Another final offer. On June 19, 2017, the Board of Commissioners accepted an offer from a citizen to purchase a parcel of land. The parcel number is 029139, and it's located on Dreadnought Road in the Richlands Township. The parcel is approximately about 1.2 acres of an acre in size, and the offer was in the amount of $360, which does meet the current tax value. As required by statute, a public notice was advertised in the Jacksonville Daily News, allowing other citizens to make upset offers. However, we did not receive any upset offers within that 10-day period. Therefore, the final offer of $360 is brought back before the board for consideration. And if the board approves the offer, the property will be sold as is, and a deed will be prepared transferring the property and will be removed from the county asset file.
Motion. So moved. And second. Second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Section L, final offer on next parcel.
This is another final offer that was done through the upset bid process, and the parcel number is 043513, which is located on Natalie Lane in the Swansboro Township. The parcel is approximately 0.17 of an acre in size, and the offer was in the amount of $110, which meets the current tax value. And the current tax value is just $100 for this particular parcel. As required by statute, public notice was advertised in the Jacksonville Daily News, allowing other parties 10 days to make upset offers, but we did not receive any. Therefore, the final offer of $110 is brought before the Board of Commissioners for consideration. If the board approves the offer, the county will be sold as is, a deed will be prepared, and we'll remove it from the county asset file. It's respectfully requested that the board consider the final offer in the amount of $110.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item is carried. Section M, surplus property.
This is authorizing another electronic auction. On April 3rd, the Board of Commissioners approved a resolution that authorized the county manager or his designee, the purchasing director, to conduct an electronic auction to sell land that the county has acquired over the years through the foreclosure process. In an effort to sell the remaining parcels of land that cannot be used for a governmental function, it's being requested that the board consider declaring the properties on Exhibit A as surplus and authorize the county manager or his designee, the purchasing director, to conduct another sale on gov deals, which is the electronic auction. 160A actually defines the process for conducting the auction, and first the board would be required to adopt the resolution authorizing the sale, and if approved, the sale would be advertised 30 days prior to us posting it on the GovDeals site. And once the auction is held, and then the highest offer will be brought back to you for final consideration. A list of the county's properties that would be auctioned is attached, and also attached is a resolution which authorizes the sale, describes the property to be sold, specifies the dates, the times of the auctions, and the terms of the sale. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider authorizing Resolution 17-008 to declare the property as surplus and allow the county manager or his designated purchasing director to conduct the auction. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify of the motion by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Laura.
Thank you.
You know not to go on vacation again now.
I know.
Mr. Cotton, Section N, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. The North Carolina Forestry Service, their operating budget is split between the county cooperators and the state of North Carolina, and that split is 40% for the county cooperators and 60% to the state. And the state's portion is typically tied to the amount funded by each of the county contributors. We did initially look at reducing their budget, their being the Forestry Service, by $50,000. They projected out that $50,000 actually equates to $125,000 once you factor in what the state would reduce. And they have provided some compelling facts for additional consideration for that $50,000 to be added back. And it is respectfully requested that the commissioners consider increasing the North Carolina Forest Service funding by $50,000 to match the fiscal year 16-17 number.
Why are we looking at 16-17 number, David? I'm confused. It's 17-18 budget.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying we shorted them last year's budget?
No, sir. They're asking that we match the 16-17 number. We actually 17-18 reduced their budget by $50,000 this year as compared to last year's.
But wasn't there some controversy over Hoffman Forest and the $35,000 that they no longer do Hoffman Forest, correct? Is that not private corporation?
Portions of that. We have some foresters here that may be able to speak to that a little bit more intelligently than I could.
Are you still doing operations out of Hoffman Forest?
Absolutely.
Because that's a private corporation.
Could you approach the
Come up
podium
to,
and
could you
speak
come up to the mic, please?
Hoffman Forest was sold by North Carolina State University and is under private ownership now, but the North Carolina Forest Service still maintains fire control responsibilities for the Hoffman Forest. They currently fund a assistant county ranger for Onslow County at a 50% split. State provides 50, the Hoffman Forest provides 50%.
So there's an agreement with the private contractor, with the private corporation, is what you're saying for the forestry services?
What's that
On
now?
Hoffman Forest.
The Hoffman, for that one position.
Okay.
Otherwise, we do all fire control on Hoffman Forest.
What will the $50,000 that you're asking for tonight, what impact will that have on your operation?
If we lose the
What does that pay?
$50,000,
What does that pay the county for?
2 equipment operators that operate the bulldozers. Onslow County currently has 3. We will lose 2 of them if that money is lost.
Does the private company contribute to the forestry? The private company that owns Huffman Forest?
They provide 50% funding for the salary of the assistant county ranger and nothing more.
What's the dollar amount, do you know?
I do not have the dollar amount.
Mr. Bryson, do you know any details about this, or, okay.
I'm just trying to remember the controversy we had over the fact that private corporation was taking over Hoffman Forest, and that's where we thought that there was a $35,000 less that the county would have to deal with. But this was back last year when Hoffman Forest was being sold. Just confused a little bit, I guess, David. I mean, if the private corporation, seems like to me, if they have they're paying for half the ranger that's out there. Mm-hmm. Trying to figure out, shouldn't they be paying a little bit more money than what they are? I guess that's what my question is.
Well, 14-15, the budget was reduced, and then 15-16, from 14-15, 15-16, it was reduced from the 14-15 budget, and I think that's where that Hoffman Forest piece came in. So it's already been reduced once, and this would be a second reduction to that.
I support what you guys do. I really do. We're just confused about the money pieces is what's gotten me a little bit on the confused side, because Hoffman Forest has been sold, and now it's a tax base for Onslow County. Correct?
Yes, sir. Well,
But you said that it's already been taken into account. It's already, that aspect of them making their contribution has already been taken into account
Yes,
with
sir.
the previous budgets, right? Correct?
I got to tell you this, I agree with Commissioner Buchanan, because I was reading this earlier and I'm reading it now, and I'm trying to listen, no offense to you guys. And personally, I don't really like to make a decision without having all the information available, because we really don't know what the private sector is doing, right? In terms of what they're funding. I know it funds, you said, for the salary of somebody out there, the private sector. Their contribution funds for the salary of the
One position.
one position.
That's correct.
So if we don't give you the money, then we lose 2 bulldozers. We presently have 3, right?
That's right.
Okay. I guess I'm kind of like you.
I don't think we have enough information, David.
Right.
I like to see their budgets, what I like to see. I like to see the numbers, if that's possible. Is it in here? Because I don't know if I noticed it.
Yes, sir. They have their 15-16 budget.
I mean, is it showing what the private sector's spending, given to them for their one position?
Shows a single county ranger. I'm not seeing a deputy or an assistant county ranger.
That's right.
Okay.
And it's just his salary, benefits, pickup truck, and every other thing is funded through Onslow County.
Hey, Commissioner Buchanan, based on what you're seeing, and I'm seeing the same thing, and just, I think there's more information that needs to be researched for us so that we can make a right decision. Again, nothing against you, just we're very conscious of where the money's going and what it's being used for. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to shelve this until we get further information and be brought up in a future board meeting for either approval or disapproval.
Have a motion to table it.
Yes, sir.
All right, I would second that.
Have a motion to table, we have a second. Have a second on that?
Yeah, second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? We just have to study it a little bit more. After we look at it, we'll bring it back to the board and make a decision on it.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion to table this signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We'll get back with you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Norman Bryson, 800 megahertz radio system service agreement.
Good evening again, Commissioners. The county's emergency communication 800 megahertz radio system was built by Motorola Solutions, and the project was completed in June of 2015. The system is used for emergent response and operations by all county, municipal, and volunteer fire, rescue, EMS, and law enforcement entities. After the initial 18-month warranty, the system has been maintained under a maintenance service agreement with Motorola Solutions, and the service agreement has to be renewed annually. The service agreement covers 6 areas: dispatch services, network monitoring, technical support, infrastructure repair and regular replacement, network preventative maintenance, on-site infrastructure service with 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week availability with a 4-hour response time. These services cover the county's 5 radio towers and the 2 core systems that reside at the City of Jacksonville's Public Safety Building and the county's Emergency Operations Center. In the last year, there has been 273 times that Motorola Solutions has provided services under the maintenance agreement. Some of these services include replacement of radio consolettes, replacement of tower equipment, and troubleshooting the loss of radio channels and the radio signal on the system. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the approval of the maintenance service agreement with Motorola Solutions in the amount of $287,659.32.
A motion?
I'll make a motion, but I have a lot of questions.
Motion and a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Could you explain, I know where this is, it's really important to me because we have to have the 800 megahertz, and I mean, we spent over $12 million on this system. And I know we have to have the maintenance and everything else, but would you explain to the audience and explain to the public that we are taking care of all the maintenance? The municipalities are not, and neither is the City of Jacksonville. It's just Onslow County is taking care of that on our taxpayers' back.
Well, the first thing I would want to start with, sir, is the radio system as we know it. When I first started in emergency services, we were all very used to a VHF radio system, which was turn on the dial, you program the radio, and you're on to the system. That is much different today with the 800 megahertz system than what it used to be. Basically, the radios we're walking around with today are nothing but computers. And these computers are tied back to a much larger system that the towers and this core system is part of. And with that huge technology comes maintenance to this entire asset to keep it operational and running. Today, when you pick up an 800 megahertz radio and press the button to talk on it, it lights up all 5 of our towers at once. So it doesn't matter where you are in the community that you will be able to talk across it. So in this system, there's a lot of technology that's built into it that has to be maintained. And as you brought forward, Onslow County government is covering all the maintenance for this facility, for this system. We're paying for all the upkeep. We're paying for all the upkeep on the generators, as well as gas for the generators out in local sites, as well as taking care of anything such as putting lights on the tower system if any one of the lights go out. So it is all being absorbed by the county, while we do have the city of Jacksonville is on the radio system. Every municipality we have in the county is on this system, as well as other partners such as OUTS is also using the Onslow County radio system.
When we purchased this system, did we know that we were going to have a maintenance agreement that would cost $287,000 a year?
Sir, that was presented in 2012 when the board approved this. It was presented.
And Mark, this is just one piece of the other. There's $200,000 more on the second group. This other piece here, there's $400,000. And service agreements are very important because they're cheaper in the long run than it is, because if they've answered, I don't know how many calls you said a while ago, there's quite a few that they...
273.
That would be very expensive every time they show up. If they were charging us without the service agreements are very important, but this is very large amounts of money.
And it also includes the equipment that they're replacing as well. It means we're not taking the consulates that I talked about in the tower amplifier that was replaced. We didn't have to pull money out of pocket to also pay for that in addition. The hardware is also included in this maintenance agreement.
Is this a yearly amount for the service agreement?
Yes,
So
sir.
every year we have to pay that?
And go ahead and let you know, add also probably additional 3% increase every year above that.
And it's an average of about $41,000 a month, correct?
Yes, sir.
The two programs.
The two programs. We're going to
item-
talk about the second one in a minute, but it's like
item O
$41,000 a month.
O and P, but the maintenance agreement for the public and the audience, Motorola is the only game in town?
They are the manufacturers of the system, and they are the only game in town to maintain the overall system.
They can't put a Chevrolet part on a Ford?
We're not putting Chevrolet parts on a Ford or a Dodge.
So
I made the motion because we have to have it. You have to have the service agreement. I mean, it's just one of those things, and it is in the budget, correct, David? I mean, this is budgeted for. It's a hard one to swallow when it's that much money.
is there any grants available that's out there to assist in this type of expenditure?
Not any that we've seen, sir. Now, one area that we may have to be able to collect some additional revenue for this is there are spaces available on the towers. If we're able to rent some of the space that we have on the towers, we could also collect some revenue in that would help cover some of this cost.
Do you know right offhand how many agencies we are dispatching, or not dispatching, but how many agencies are on our system, the 800 megahertz system?
I do not have that right in front of me. I can tell you, I know offhand that we dispatch for 44 different agencies in the county. If you include the city of Jacksonville, that brings us up to 45. As I said, OUTS, which would be 46. We do have some of the privatized EMS systems also have to be on our system so we can communicate with them, as well as Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune is also tied in with our system that they can be able to communicate with us as well. Now, they do not use it as their main primary communication system, but it's a mutual aid.
Well, the thing with that, with the Camp Lejeune one, and you can help me out with this one, that came about because of the individual with a gun that was going aboard the base, was headed to the main gate, and our police officers couldn't talk to the MPs. Now, our police officers or deputies can talk to the MPs at the gate, so it's a safety issue, and I'm glad that we did that.
Yes, sir. That situation and many others, because we also depend on Camp Lejeune as part of our mutual aid for when we do run out of EMS ambulances in the county. They are some of our mutual aid that handle some of our call volume that need to be on our radio system.
Well, we were going into the system anyway, the 800 megahertz system back in 2012 when we were studying it. And I think part of the, if Mr. Cotton, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the arrangement would especially with the city of Jacksonville, was that they would come in with us on the initial cost of the 800, I don't know what, 30% of the.
They pay 30% of it.
30% of the 12 million that we were having to spend for it. But I think the agreement at that time was that they would help us with the 30%, but we would have to maintain it after the warranty was over. And we rode along for 18 months on the warranty, so now it's time to pay the bill, I guess, on it. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. Norman, I think we got another $250,000 coming up.
When Onslow County contracted with Motorola Solutions to design and build the 800 megahertz radio system, it was also requested of Motorola to provide a 7-year plan to ensure the radio system would stay current with the ever-changing advances in operational and security software. Motorola Solutions provides a year-to-year software maintenance agreement that would keep up with the advancing software technologies. The software maintenance agreement not only keeps up with the software, but also includes any hardware that is needed to support the new software agreement, software advancements. It is respectfully requested the Board of Commissioners consider the approval of the software maintenance service with Motorola Solutions in the amount of $209,948, and the agreement is for a 12-month period.
Motion to approve.
Motion, need a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Bryson. Mr. Cotton, appointments on item number 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. The Onslow County Planning Board protects public health, safety, and welfare as it pertains to the orderly growth and development of land in Onslow County. The board considers each and every application for subdivisions or development in order to determine the consistency of the applications with all applicable local, state, and federal ordinances and restrictions. Mr. John Burns, Swansboro Township Representative, term is expiring on July 31st, 2017. Mr. Burns does not wish to be reappointed, thereby leaving a vacancy. Mr. Roger H. Brown has expressed a willingness to serve and has submitted a citizen participation application for this board. Mr. Jerry L. Swan, Jacksonville Township Representative, term is expiring on July 31st, 2017. Mr. Swain has expressed a willingness to continue serving. No other individuals have expressed an interest in serving at this time. These vacancies have been advertised. All applications are on file and have been certified by the clerk's office. It is respectfully requested that you consider the appointment of Mr. Roger H. Brown for the Swansboro Township and the reappointment of Mr. Jerry L. Swain, Jacksonville Township, for 3-year terms expiring July 31st, 2020.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the appointees, Roger Brown and Jerry Swain, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Cotton. Section B, Nursing Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Major responsibility of this advisory committee is to monitor nursing homes, nursing home care, and resolve grievances of nursing home residents and their families involving quality of care issues. An equally important role of these committees is to serve as a catalyst for increased community interaction with nursing homes and to promote better community education and awareness of issues affecting residents. Ms. Elizabeth Barron has expressed a willingness to serve and has submitted a citizen participation application for the vacancies on this board. Ms. Ozzie J. Keys' term is expiring on August 14th, 2017. Ms. Keys has expressed an interest in reappointment and has submitted a citizen participation application. No other individuals have expressed an interest in serving at this time. These vacancies have been advertised, all applications are on file and have been certified by the clerk's office. It is respectfully requested that the board consider the appointment of Ms. Elizabeth Barron and the reappointment of Ms. Ozzie Keys for three-year terms expiring August 14th, 2020.
Motion. So moved. Motion and a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of appointing Ms. Elizabeth Barone and reappointment of Mr. Ozzie, or Ms. Ozzie Keys, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. Item 7 is consent agenda. We didn't have anything that was removed, so next, item 8 is Mr. Cotton. We have anybody signed up for the last part?
No, sir, no one has signed up for the second public comment period.
Okay, item 9, your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I would like to yield my time to Ms. Sherry Slater. We would like to recognize an employee for outstanding service to our county and for being recognized for that. Sherry?
Thank you, Mr. Cotton, for giving me a moment to bring some good news before the board. I would like to recognize a few staff that are with me tonight. I'm going to call them up. You might recognize Miss Angela Lee, our health director. I also have with me Elizabeth Junak, who's our director of nursing, and Miss Whitney Jezik, who is our child health services nurse supervisor. We have many award-worthy programs in Onslow County. One such program is the Onslow County Health Department's Onslow County School Immunization Initiative Program. Recently, the program was nominated for the Samuel L. Katz, MD Excellence in Immunizations Award. It is an outstanding program that breaks down barriers, increases access, and provides care to a vulnerable population, our children, through preventative vaccinations to communicable diseases and illnesses. In June of 2017, we were informed that the initiative had received the award by unanimous vote. The North Carolina Immunizations Branch Program Consultant, Sandy Allen, said that Onslow County Health Department excels at delivering health services to build better lives for individuals and families by expanding their school immunization outreach program. We wanted to thank Ms. Jezik, who submitted the program for this award. We appreciate her hard work and the pride she takes in Onslow County, and we also wanted to congratulate the whole immunizations team on this award. This program and the award will also be highlighted in an upcoming segment of Onslow County Today, so we'll help you look for that. And just wanted to say we have a lot of great programs in the county, but it takes the initiative of some of our staff like Ms. Jezik to get those programs recognized. So thank you for doing that. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Buchanan.
Well, where do you start? Our employees, I mean, many people have heard me talk about our employees over and over again. We have the best employees in the country, and thank you for that award that you all just received. It's just amazing to me, the hard work that you all do and the staff does for this community, and I'm just so proud of you. Just every day I think about it when I go to the new buildings and see our employees in the new facilities, and they're so happy-go-lucky and just happy to be here. And it's just amazing for me that we have the best employees there are in the country. And I want to thank you for that, and thank you for that award that you just received. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Price.
I hope everyone enjoyed their Independence Day, and also want to thank Mayor Chadwick for giving us a report on the progress of the projects in Swansboro. Also want to let our Forest Service know that we do value their service and what they do for Onslow County, and that hopefully once we get this information that's requested, we can move quickly to come to a decision on that, because it is a valuable service provided for the citizens of Onslow County. Also, I'd like to remind you just to keep the families of the Marines and sailors who were lost in a recent crash in your prayers as well, and thank you for coming out this evening.
Commissioner Knapp.
I just want to thank Scott for coming out. Swansboro is a great little town, and anything we can do for you, I think it's wonderful. I mean, there are a lot of people go down there. It's a big tourist attraction, and I know it's one of our favorite spots for sure, as far as my wife is concerned. I do want to say hello to my wife, who's watching right now on Facebook in Ireland, so I know she can hear me, and so she knows that I'm here, and that was her biggest thing. So she'll be coming back next week, and I'm looking forward to her coming back. I also want to welcome Amanda Thames. She's sitting right here. She's our new political beat reporter from JPD News. So I just wanted to welcome you, Amanda. This is her first meeting, and I know she's a little nervous, so I'm sure you're taking good notes, right? Writing good stuff, I hope. Also, I just want to take a moment and just say something on a serious note. We recently had a couple of tragedies here in Onslow County. And unfortunately, we had one individual that passed away, Will Clifton. Okay, and you're reading articles and et cetera in the paper, but kind of separate yourself from that for a moment and understand that he is a retired Marine, served his country, and he also served as a Onslow County Deputy Sheriff. He served this community. So I just wanted to say and send my condolences to his family, regardless of the situation. I want them to know that, we're praying for them because they have to suffer as well. So I want them out there that are watching to understand that we are sorry for their loss and that hopefully they can move on and get this behind them. And lastly but not least, I agree with Commissioner Price. When I heard about the C-130 crash, it hit home. One of the members is a friend of my daughter's in church. It's tragic, and when you get a moment, say a prayer for them, or a moment of silence, and don't let them be forgotten, because they were serving their country, and we should never forget their loss. But other than that, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Commissioner Knapp. I also like to thank Mayor Chadwick for coming tonight and giving us some update on some of the things that's going on. And what Swansboro does is what all the other communities are trying to do. They are trying to have events that start one day and they last for a couple of days, and that encourages people to come and stay in the hotels and motels. And that's what tourism money is all about, is heads on beds, and that's how we get our funding to not only do the events, but also capital projects, and also to keep our inlets cleaned and dredged so we can get our commercial fishermen and our recreational fishermen. And down in New River Inlet, the military forest training goes for the military training. So the longer you can have events where it lasts more than one day, that's even better for the tourism, and it just promotes the area, promotes business, promotes restaurants and sales of products and stuff for Onslow County. I congratulate you and the organization in Swansboro for doing that, and other towns also. I think some other communities like Jacksonville does a lot of that. I'd like to introduce someone that's new to the board, but also this is their first meeting, Morgan Cunningham, sitting over here next to Julie Wan. If you get a chance, come up and welcome her to Onslow County government. Sorry I missed Miss Lisa earlier. She kind of blends in with the crowd, and I didn't get to introduce her with the elected officials. So if you'll tell her that when you see her that I didn't forget her. But other than that, our hearts and prayers does go out to the military plane crash that took the life of our warriors, and there's going to be numerous events to help raise money for those individuals and their families. So if you get a chance to participate in any of that, I surely would encourage that you to do that. As far as the forestry money that we talked about, we will research that, and we'll let you know when it's going to be back on the agenda, and see what we can do to either make a decision on that. But I thank y'all for coming tonight, and I thank all the other people that came tonight, the staff and all the people that's in our audience and all the people that's looking. So other than that, have a safe trip home and good night. Motion to adjourn. So moved. We adjourned.